Podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, welcome to OpenLM. We will start the webinar in a few minutes. We'll just be waiting for some people to arrive. Thank you. So, hi, Vincent. It seems that it's only me and you here. No other user has answered the call. So I would like to go over the core product of OpenLM today, but if you would like to see the extension, the OpenLM extensions, or maybe get more advanced, then please let me know so we can have a chat. Okay. Okay. So I will simply begin. If you want, you can write down your questions in the chat. You can also use your microphone and just ask. So I will unmute you, so you'll be able to ask freely. So first of all, I want to go over the core product of OpenLM. Okay, I see that you'll send texts. Very well, I'll keep it open. So let's go over the core product of OpenLM. Let's see the main reports of OpenLM. And beyond that, I'll show you the extensions of OpenLM. Now, I will not be doing a presentation, only a live demonstration of the tool and of all the extensions. So first of all, what is OpenLM? Well, OpenLM, first of all, what it does, it monitors your license usage. If you are involved in floating license pools, then you probably know that it's hard to keep track of all the licenses on all the different systems. Let's say that you have 200 different license managers. So OpenLM can aggregate all them and just show you in one simple interface all the different reports and all the different interfaces that you need. So OpenLM basically helps you to save money, avoid auditing, and it can also help you when confronting the vendor or your internal users. Now I'm gonna get to it later on. When we get to the extensions, you'll realize how OpenLM helps you with that. So let's simply begin by showing you the system. The first report that you see when opening OpenLM is the license servers report. Now this is something that aggregates all your different license managers. You see I have FlexLM here. If we go to a client database, we have the FlexLM, LMX, RLM, BetaLM, many different types of license managers, and all of them are concentrated into one place, where you can see the quantity of licenses that you have and how many are used right now. For example, if I click on the used button, I'll be able to see that Dean is now using the application. I see that he's using Civil Series and he's from this group when he started, and all the details about his session. So this gives you a good idea of what's going on right now with your system. But let's say that you want statistical information, trends, you want data that you can know stuff from, that you can get out of the data, that you can understand how many licenses you have, how many licenses you need, and basically how far you are from maxing out all your licenses. Now it's pretty self-explanatory, the fact that you'll need to increase your utilization to pay less for licenses. Because if the licenses are utilized, let's say 100% of the times, then you don't need to buy extra licenses because someone's got the license, because the license pool is maxed out. But we'll go over them one by one. First of all, the license usage report, if you go to Start Reports, License Usage, you can see the most prevalent report that we have in OpenLM. It shows you how far you are from actually maxing out your licenses. So the line on the bottom, on the top here, shows the amount of licenses, 40 licenses, 70 licenses, sorry. And on the bottom, you see the concurrent usage. Now you can see that, for example, here, the situation was not so bad. It was actually very underused, the license. But as the time goes, more and more users use this application. And then it gets to an actual point where it's maxing out the license, where the concurrent usage and the license quantity are the same, because all licenses have been pulled from the pool. Now you can show, of course, average, minimum, whatever you choose. You can show it as a heat map as well. If you go to the heat map right here, you're able to see the spread of licenses during the day, during the week, during the month. For example, here you see that during the weekend, it's mostly green. It's not used or mainly reserved. And during the week, you see that from 7 a.m. to about 5 p.m., we have a lot of usage, and it's almost maxing out in the during midday. Now, this is great as it shows you how far you are from actually maxing out your licenses. But what happens after you maxed out your licenses? Well, after you've maxed out the licenses, users start getting denied. They try to pull a license and the licensing system tells them, no, you don't have an available license. So the denials report, if you go to Start Reports, Denials, then you'll be able to see all the denials aggregated however you choose. You can aggregate it by user, aggregated by group, or even aggregated by the hour of the day. For example, here you can see that 1 o'clock is the most denied hour. You can also see it as a table right here, and you can export the data, of course. Now, OpenLM shows true denials mainly. It's able to show true denials and also all denials. So if you select this true denials checkbox, it will be able to filter out denials that were not actually denials, were not actually true, meaning that, let's say that I am an engineer, I put a license, so I'm denied from one server, but a second after, I get the license. So the first denial is not a real denial. I don't want to see that. It skews the results. So you can filter out only the true denials and get better statistics. So as we've seen OpenLM until now, we've seen that OpenLM enables you to see, first of all, what's going on right now with all your system. how far you are from maxing out certain licenses, what's happening after it's maxed out, how bad is the situation. But this doesn't tell you how many licenses you actually need. It tells you that you had 40 denials. Does that mean that I need 40 licenses? No, it just means that you had 40 denials. The license utilization report, if you go to Start, Management, License Utilization, you'll be able to find this report, which shows you the amount of time in percentage, the amount of time spent on each concurrent usage level. For example, one license pooled, only one, was like 84% of the times, and 29 licenses pooled was like 10% of the time. Now you can either show it aggregated as it is now, so 1 is encapsulated in 2 and 2 is encapsulated in 1, or you can simply show it like this, unaggregated, but it's less, you can understand less from it. But what's good about this graph? What does these percentages tell me? So they allow me, these dots, the line here, it allows me to set a quality of service line, which tells me how many licenses I actually need. For example, let's say that I'm okay with the fact that 5% of the times users will get denied, meaning that out of 100 times, 5 times they will get denied. So if you're okay with that fact, you can punch in 95 right here, and you see that you only need 45 licenses. You don't need the whole 70 licenses that you got here. You only need 45. So let's say that you're okay with the fact that 90% quality of service, meaning that 10% of the times they will get denied, once out of 10 times. So the number of licenses that you actually need is only 30 licenses. So that's a huge reduction. That's less than half the amount of licenses that we have here for this feature. Now, I don't need to tell you how beneficial this is, because some licenses are very, very expensive. Now, if we take a look at it in at another angle, we will be able to know how many licenses we're not using. So why do you need that? First of all, the license utilization report, once you know how many licenses you need, so no one can fool you. No one can tell you internally, no one can tell you, oh, I'm a project manager and I have 100 users, I need 100 licenses. So you can give him a concrete number. You can tell him, no, for your team, you need only 30 licenses. So I'm going to buy 30 licenses for your team. Also, you can externally get a lot of power when confronting the vendor. The vendor can tell you, oh, you need this and that licenses, you need 1,000 licenses, and you can come up to the vendor with hard data, with a hard number. Just tell him, well, I don't need 1,000 licenses, I only need 100. So this way you'll have a lot of power because you'll know what's going on. You can get an insight on your data and make decisions as a result. So if we take a look at it from another angle, we'll be able to see all the licenses that were not used in the licenses not in use report. So if you go to Start, Management, Licenses not in use, you'll be able to see which ones you're not using. Now, what can you do with that? Because I know how many licenses I need, so what do I care how many licenses I don't need? Well, let's say that you see that Novice Works here, for example, it was never used. Meaning that next time that I go to buy a new package, I can buy a smaller package. Or maybe I just buy the feature that I need, I don't buy the whole package. So this also gives you a lot of power when confronting the vendor. Let's say that you had a project once that used Navisworks, and well, yeah, it went on for like a year or two, and pretty much people forgot about the license, about that license manager. It was still floating around the system. So OpenLM will enable you to know that, okay, for this feature, I haven't been using it, so I can buy a smaller package next time. Because then you'll know that from that project, since then, it has been purchased again and again and again just because, oh, this is what I bought last year, so I'll buy this year as well. So this way you'll be able to see what you're using, which versions you're using, which applications you're actually using, and which you're not using. And so that's great. That shows me what's going on right now. It shows me also the statistical information of how far I am from actually maxing out the license. It can also show me what happens after the license was maxed out. And finally, it can show me how many licenses I need, and it can show me also how many licenses I don't need, and which features and which packages I'm not using. But the last report that I want to show you as a part of the OpenLM Core product, what I'm showing you now is the most prevalent report of the Core product. OpenLM has many reports, but these are the top 6 reports. So the last report is license activity, which pretty much allows you to do chargeback billing or group billing, meaning that you can bill different groups, different projects, or different users by their usage time. For example, here you see it's aggregated by group, but I can aggregate it by project, by user, by feature, whatever I choose. And then I see the usage time per group, and I'll know to charge them accordingly. So this is it for the core product of OpenLM. Now I want to go over a few extensions. So if you have any questions regarding the core product, what you've seen until now, now is the time to ask. Go ahead, just write it down in the chat if you want. So we've seen what OpenLM can do in order to give you monitoring capabilities. Now I want to show you what OpenLM can do to give you more managerial capabilities, to give you the ability to get more out of your OpenLM system and have the OpenLM system be more automatic and allow you to do stuff that no other application does. So first of all, I want to just get it out of the way. The OpenLM system is a fully enterprise-ready system. Now, what does that mean? It means that we have a few extensions that all large organizations require. For example, OpenLM can integrate with the Active Directory. It can synchronize the Active Directory. It can implement user login using Windows authentication based on the LDAP details, on the Active Directory details. You can set different roles to different users for them to see different things. For example, managers can see a certain report, end users will not see any reports. Group USA will only be able to view USA license managers, for example. So there are a lot of options of what you can do with it. Sorry about that. And OpenLM allows you to be ready when security department tells you, hey, this application has to be secure, it has to be roles has to have roles, it has to connect to the Active Directory and all that. So we're pretty much covered on that side. Also, OpenLM uses an embedded Firebird database, but this is only for evaluations. Once you use a Pro or Enterprise version, then you will need to move to a MySQL or SQL Server, whichever you choose. So I just want to show you a short thing. I want to show you something regarding the LDAP synchronization. So if we open up the server configuration right here and go to LDAP, we can see that I have a few synchronizations right here. And we see what are the synchronization options. So you can go to a certain node and get all the users. And you can compile the users into groups. Now, these groups can be as a hierarchy, meaning that the OU or the node will turn into the group. Can be by user attribute. For example, you can select department, and all users with the same department will be compiled into a single group. For example, all the users that have sales in their LDAP department field will be compiled into group sales, group support, group development, whatever. Now I have a question here. We primarily use eDirectory for our LDAP. Do you guys support eDirectory? Yes, we do support eDirectory, no problem. If we go here, you see we have Active Directory, eDirectory, and Apache DS. Now, I want to show you one of the most used extensions of OpenLM, and it's also one of the cheapest ones. So this is the Alerts extension, the Alerts Management extension, which allows you to get notified when certain criteria are met. So you can get notified by email, SMS, just get an alert on the application here, or you can run a broker command like start, stop, and reread server. And the user itself can also get notified. So the admin and the end user can get notified on a certain condition. So let's take a look at which conditions OpenLM offers. First, a licensed server is not responding. You have a licensed server that's down. So the OpenLM system recognizes that and notifies you that the licensed server has gone down. Now you can, for example, run broker command start on the license manager once this is tripped, when this condition is tripped. The other condition that we have here is the usage percentage goes over a certain threshold. Now it can be whatever you choose. I just put it 90. So let's say that the license is about to be maxed out. So you want to get notified about it, because then you can start releasing licenses manually, maybe going up to users and asking them to close their application, or maybe going to workstation and simply closing the workstations themselves. Whatever you choose, whatever you do when this happens. So you can get notified when this happens. A duplicate license usage means that a user, for example, opened AutoCAD twice on his system. So you probably want to get notified because instead of using one license for one user, he's using two licenses for one user. That severely hinders the utilization of your licenses. You can also get notified once a license is about to be expired. For example, here it's set to 2 weeks, but you can set it to whatever you choose. So, for example, you can get notified when AutoCAD is about to be expired in a month. So you'll have like a month to get everything together, to know what you need, how much you need, who uses what, and get all the data and purchase the new licenses that you need. The users with no default group or default project enables you to find unauthorized usage in your licensing system. Let's say that all your users are under groups, are grouped, and then you see a new user. The system recognizes that it has no groups. If it has no groups, then you probably want to get notified, because who is he? How come he's not a part of any group? So you can get notified on that. You can also get notified when a session duration goes over a certain amount. Here it's 600, but again, you can do whatever you want. This is good for cases when someone pulled the license, he opened the AutoCAD, for example, or any other application for that matter, and the user just, I don't know, just went home, or maybe went on a meeting, or just whatever, not working. So you see that it's like 12 hours. So actually, you know that it's not working anymore. So you can get notified about this. So you can either close his workstation, release his license, or do whatever you do in this case. So the user himself can also get notified about this occurrence, and you can write down something along the lines of, hey, you've been using for more than 12 hours. Please remember to close the application before you go home, or something along those lines. The last condition that we have is maximum number of denials in a certain period. So let's say, like here, you have 1,000 denials in a period of, well, let's say 10 minutes. Then it means that something is wrong with the system. The server might be up, everything seems to be up and running and in working condition, but users are getting denied like in a crazy rate. So you'd want to get notified about this, so you'd be able to know that you need to do something, that you'll search for the problem, you see what happened to the license manager. Maybe the license file was expired. If it was expired, everybody gets denied, of course. So you can get notified on all these different criteria, and it helps you to better manage OpenLM. Now, the next extension that I want to show you helps you with a small part of the FlexLM product, which is called the options file. So some of you may not know, but options file is a FlexLM file that enables you to group different users, to restrict them from using different applications, for including them from using applications, reserve certain licenses for them, and set all different permissions for the usage of that license, of that feature. So the file itself is just a text file. It's not related to OpenLM, it's a FlexLM file, but it's just a text file. And it's very prone to syntax error when a human, when just anyone, tries to create it by hand. So if you try to edit, let me open one report and let me show you. For example, if you try to edit this, and this is a very small options file, some options file get to like thousands and thousands of rows. So you can easily see how you can get confused or how you can make a mistake. For example, Kimberly, I write here her with an E by mistake. So then you'll have a problem. Kimberly will not be in the system. It will not be a part of the group. It will not be excluded, included, and she will be just be one floating user without any group, just a member. So you can screw up on this. You can even put the exclude before the group and the include before. You can do a lot of mistakes here because the syntax is very rigid. There are undocumented changes, meaning that FlexLM does a change for the next version, then suddenly your options file are failing. Suddenly something is wrong there. So for this, the OpenLM developed the options file management system, which allows you to create that option file simply by adding, selecting, and checking checkboxes instead of writing down the actual names and groups and who to include and what to include and all that. So let's do a dry run. I chose the license server. I'll choose, let's say, data reviewer, the feature, and I want to add a group to it. So I'll add USA group and take USA server or USA support. So now we see that we can reserve licenses to support if we want. We can include them, we can exclude them, we can exclude them from borrowing licenses. So for example, let's for now include and save. Now if we click preview, we can see that include data reviewer group USA support. So we see that it added it automatically to the options file. If you click deploy, then it will remotely push the changes to the options file and restart the license manager. Now, as you can see, it's very simple to use, very easy. The interface is very self-explanatory. And again, this is one of the cheaper extensions. So I have a question. So all of the alerting happens within this plugin and it costs extra. Now it depends. Usually it's distributed with the enterprise license. It does cost extra. Sometimes on some licenses it doesn't cost anything. It comes with the license. Sometimes it costs extra, like maybe a few tens of dollars, not more. But you should talk to sales regarding this because I am not a salesperson. I don't know about the prices and everything. You should discuss this with sales. But mainly, yeah, the the alerts cost extra. It's an extension. So now I want to move to the OpenLM agent and show you its 4 different tiers. So what is the OpenLM agent first? The OpenLM agent is something that is installed on the workstation. Now I have a workstation right here. And you see I have the OpenLM agent on it. This is the OpenLM agent. Now it can be visible or invisible to your clients depending what you choose. And what does it do? Well, it gives the admin a gateway to the workstation. It gives it a gateway to do many things. But first, let's take a look at the first tier of the agent. The first tier is free. This is something that if you have an evaluation version or you have an enterprise version without any extensions, only the core product, then this is included within the core product. So what is? First of all, the license usage information screen. Keep in mind that we are on the workstation right now, meaning that this is the end user machine right here. So the end user himself can open up this license usage information and see how many licenses are used, and how many licenses are free. If all of them are used, so this user can go inside the license he needs and see that, oh, Alexis is using and Charles is using, he's been using since 2 p.m., she's been using since 12 p.m., and so on. So the user is able to get the details of those users by clicking on them, and he'll be able to call them up and just let them know that he needs the license. But okay, let's say that he doesn't know anyone and he cannot talk to anyone, and it gives him all the details that the Active Directory has, meaning the email, phone number, department, and everything. But let's say that you want to make it more automatic. Now, this is another part of the agent, which is in the core product. It doesn't cost extra. This is the when a user is denied from getting a license. Let's say that I want AutoCAD, I tried to pull AutoCAD, but I was denied. So the most logical thing to do is to try like every 2 minutes, try to open AutoCAD, see if it gets it. If not, then try again in 2 minutes. But this is mainly all that the user does. It is pretty idle. He's pretty idle. So the agent can notify the end user once the license has become available. So I was denied from getting AutoCAD, and then someone released a license of AutoCAD, so I will get a notification saying that AutoCAD is now free for me to use. So I can go about my own business and do other things and just wait for the OpenLM system to notify me. Now we'll move on to the paid parts of the agent, the extensions of the agent. So first of all, let's open AutoCAD right now. Let's keep it open and even minimize it. So we'll be able to see it in the OpenLM interface. So let's say that we're a part of this project, okay? So we have AutoCAD open right here on the end user workstation. Now, the first tier of the OpenLM agent is actual usage extension. Now, what is actual usage? It means what was the idle time versus the usage time for a certain session. So I can open AutoCAD, but I can just minimize it and go on Facebook. I can go home. I can go on a meeting, and the license is not utilized. It's just sitting there idle when someone else can use it. So the actual usage extension allows you to track exactly who is misusing the license, who has idle time, who is idling with the license, how long he's idling with the license. And the next tier will enable you even to do something about it. But let's take a look first at the actual usage tier, which is the second tier, but the first paid tier. Now I see here my workstation right here. This is my username there. This is the feature that I used. I'm a part of this project, this group. It tells me when I started, what's the duration, the session duration. But it can also tell me the app idle time. Now this takes about a minute or two to get updated. So let's keep it open right here. And the agent, what it does, it tracks various applications and it lets you know what's going on when the user already pulled the license. So I had several clients that came up to me and said that after using the agent, the actual usage extension, their license utilization and availability it dramatically increased because some users just pulled the license and didn't do anything with them. For example, when in my last job, we used Chromeleon and it was also using a floating license pool. So what I did, I simply came in the morning, pulled the license, and that's it. I never put it back. Like weeks on end, days on end, months on end, I just didn't put it back. I didn't want to get denied. So this way you'll be able to see those users right here. You can see that we have like 1 minute, almost 2 minutes of idle time. We can click here and see it as a graph if we want. And this is the time when you can see, okay, this user has been using for too long. So I will talk to him. I will send him an email, or maybe I'll go to his workstation and close his application and close his workstation. But the next tier, the active agent, allows you to close the application remotely. So if I close here, close app, and I see that, oh, he has too much idle time and I need the licenses, so I just release his license. So after about 2 or 3 minutes, the application, keep your eyes right here, the application will be closed. So here, you see that Autodesk just disappeared, and I got a message here saying that OpenLM agent has recently closed AutoCAD exe at system administrator's request. If I click here, I can reopen AutoCAD. Now this is amazing. It closes the application when I told it remotely, but it can also do that automatically. It doesn't need you. You can set the system to release any license that has more than, let's say, 1 hour of idle time, then release the license, close the application, and put the license back in the pool. Now there are a few options to do that. The active agent tier has 3 parts. You can either use a save and close extension. The save and close, it's all bundled in the same active agent extension, but save and close works only on Autodesk, ArcGIS, MATLAB, and SolidWorks, and it allows you to save the work and close the application. So the work is saved. If it's new work, it's saved into the temp folder. And if it's something that is already working on it and it has a save file there, then it will just save it to the save file. Now this is only for the top 4, which I mentioned here. If you're using none of those, you're using NX, for example, but it is a FlexLM license manager, then you can use the suspension option, which simply releases the license and suspends the application. It freezes the project, the process, sorry. So once the process is frozen, you can't access it until you have another license that you can pull. Let's say that you are not using FlexLM and not using the big 4, then you can use the procedure on any other type of application and simply kill the process or suspend the process itself. Now when you kill the process, it simply dies. It doesn't save, it doesn't do anything. Now this is kind of harsh, but I had one client, for example, that said, well, yeah, it deserves them right. If they keep it idle for such a long time, then it serves them right to close their application. So it's up to you what you choose, whatever is best for you. But these are the options. So just a recap before we move on to the next agent tier. The agent can give you for free, can give you the end user interface. It can give you, when a license is available, notification to the end user, of course. The next tier is the actual usage, which shows you what was the idle time for that session. And beyond that, it's the active agent, which enables saving and closing applications, suspending application, pretty much releasing the licenses and increasing utilization. Now, is the OpenLM agent for Windows OSs only? Yes, only for Windows OS. So the final tier of the app manager is the agent, is the app manager. Now, what is the app manager? The app manager allows you to monitor any type of licensed application or even not licensed applications. Let me explain. You know about the floating licenses. Floating licenses is like the bread and butter of OpenLM. But the app manager allows you to also track named licenses and node locked licenses and single-use licenses and pretty much any type of license that you might have. It can even track applications that do not use a license, not a license manager, not any type of license, like Photoshop, for example. Just buy the application itself. It doesn't have like any license that you can track. So why is that good? Why do you want to track named licenses? Because you're probably thinking, okay, named licenses. Well, one user, one license, that's that. But let's say that you have a named license, but a user is only using 1 hour a day from that named license, or maybe 1 day a week from that named license. So you can put him in the floating license pool. You don't need to keep him in the named licenses. You can put him in the floating license pools and get someone from the floating license pool that has like almost 90% usage, like 10 hours a day, 9 hours a day is working every day. So it will be more beneficial for you to move him to the named license. That's because the named license is less expensive than the floating license. So as you can see here, I have Power BI, which is a Microsoft tool, Visual Studio, Autodesk. Autodesk is both floating licenses and named licenses, both of them. And I have pzip, for example, to just show you that it can run on anything. As long as it's not cloud-based, it can run on anything, any application. It doesn't care the licensing. It matches the licensing afterwards. So what can you do with this? Okay, you can track the licenses, great, but you can also set different consumption rules. Now, what does that mean, consumption rules? You can set rules for opening the application. For example, I can set a rule that USA workers under Group USA will be able to use the applications only between, I don't know, 9 to 5. Only USA working hours. And China, you can set the same, but for Chinese working hours. So this way you can use the same license pool for Chinese and both USA and just separate them by the day and make sure that no one gets a license outside his time zone. Also, you can set different groups that can use only certain applications. For example, groups that should only be using AutoCAD should not be able to pull ArcGIS, for example. So you can set that, or you can set that users will only be able to pull a certain version of a certain application. So there are many conditions here. You can condition it by time, as you've seen, by the application, by the username, by the workstation, the group, which version, which vendor. You have a lot of options here. And I just want to show you how it works. So let's say that I'm taking this rule, and if the application is Autodesk and the version is 2017 and the time is after 8 and the time is before 9, then deny the usage. So now when we try to open our Autodesk version 2017 in this hour, let's go back there and try to pull AutoCAD license. And let's see what happens. So we click here and we get a notification saying that application cannot be launched, access denied due to the normal USA working hours rule. Now this is just the name that I gave it. I can change the name, whatever I choose. So let's try to allow this. And if we go there, we try to open AutoCAD, and we see that AutoCAD opens. So you can set different criteria for different groups, different users. You can ensure that everybody uses the applications that they need to use. You can ensure that all the license versions are correct. You can ensure that everybody is using within the working hours and not just putting it and going home for the weekend or something. And this pretty much gives you a complete view of your licenses. If it's floating, if it's named, doesn't matter. You can show them together, you can show them separately, whatever you choose. And lastly, I have a question here. Are these rules set for all agent, company-wide, or can you target specific clients? Now you can target specific clients, of course. If a user is inside a group, then you can target that group. You can target the client itself by his username. You can target the client itself by the workstation. So it gives you a lot of options to pinpoint exactly what you mean for which user. So the next extension is the Reporting Hub extension. Now this will be the last extension that we see, and it's the most fresh one. It's the newest one that we have. We have many clients with it, about 30 licenses, 30 users using it. Everybody is very happy with it. Let me explain what it does. The core product, as we've seen, it gives you different reports. Now these reports are set. They're set in stone. You cannot change them. You can filter them differently. You can aggregate them differently, but you can't change them. You can't add fields. You can't combine new fields into new formulas. You can't do pretty much anything but report. So the OpenLM Reporting Hub allows you to create your own dashboard and your own report, and it enables you to create different fields from fields that exist. For example, you want to create utilization field, so you can get the concurrent usage divided by the quantity, and that's it. Presto, you got the license utilization. Now you can even add pricing to the features. So next to each feature, you got its price, and you can even see the prices as a result. So what is the reporting hub actually? The reporting hub mainly is a data engine that transfers information, transfers the data from the OpenLM database to a reporting database. Now it transfers the data, it aggregates it, it cuts it up, it calculates it, it does all the things that that are needed to create these dashboards. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, why can't I just connect with this BI tool that I'm seeing? Why can't I connect to the source OpenLM database and I have to connect to the reporting database? Why do I have to do that? Well, the source database has nothing that you can use. It has 116 tables, like 99% of them you don't need. It's based as a database for the OpenLM interface. and not for like human hands. So for example, you won't find concurrent usage there. You won't find session duration there. The quantity is going to be hard to find. So what the OpenLM Reporting Hub allows you to do is basically get the end result, get a reporting database which holds pretty much everything that you're looking for in OpenLM. For example, you got the session duration, you got denials, you got concurrent usage, you got the license quantity, you got all the dimensions that you'd probably want, the workstation, users, projects, packages, license groups, calendar, everything. So let me show you how easy it is to, first of all, understand how to create the report and to create the report. So let's say that I want to see session duration by user. And I want it by bar chart. So I just drag the bar chart in here. I go to user dimension, and inside I have everything about the user. Username, department, email, everything. So I just get the username, just drag it inside. Then I go to session duration, just drag it inside. And now I can see a report for the usage duration, session duration, per user. Now I can even drill down if I want. I can add a group name above it. And then I can drill down from the groups to the user itself. I can even drill down even further to the workstation if I want. So let's say that I want to look inside this group, and I want to look inside this user, and I see that this user has been using 2 workstations, and I see how much he's been using from each one. So of course that this can be filtered with all these dimensions. You can create new fields like I'm about to show you. For example, if you take a look here, you'll see an Excel function, something like that looks like an Excel function. It's like sum this minus sum that. And this is a new field that's created by calculating 2 different fields in the reporting hub. So you see that this is very versatile. It allows you to do whatever you want because it's very, very flexible. So if you go to the OpenLM interface and you see, oh, I need another report, so you don't come to us for it. You just go to the reporting hub and you simply create it, and that's it. And you can use any BI tool that you want. We have Power BI here, but you can use Qlik, CSense, just about anything. Tableau, just about anything. And this is it for me. That's about it. That's the whole system that I can show you in 1 hour. There's a lot to OpenLM. There's many more reports, much more information that can be drawn out from it. The App Manager and the Reporting Hub do much more things, many more things, but I'm not going to go over all of them because our time is nearly up. I don't want to overload you with information. So this is it for me. I want to thank you very much for joining me. I hope this was informative. I hope it was interesting. If you have any questions, please feel free. I'm going to remain here for a few minutes to see if anyone has any questions. So if you do, just go ahead and ask either by the GoToWebinar chat, or you can simply ask using your microphone, your telephone, or whatever. Okay, thank you. You're most welcome, Vincent. Thank you for all the clever questions. If you have any more questions or you want to know anything relating to OpenLM or you have any issues, just send an email to support@openlm.com, or you can catch us in the chat we have in our website, and just ask away. We'll be happy to help. So thank you. Have a great day, Vincent.